All right, everyone, while I'm in the mood to rant about this particular issue, it's time to talk about the Democrats' fanaticism and sick obsession with wanting people to skirt U.S. law and ignore paperwork and stuff, because Orange Man bad, really. They weren't like this when Obama was the president. When Obama was the president, they cheered when he said, hey, yeah, you should come to the country, but do it legally. We can't have people just storming the border. Oh, how far the mighty have fallen, because now Obama retrospectively, I guess, is a racist or something. It's funny because FDR actually did run concentration camps in the country, and he's held up as the standard of liberal messiahdom. It's because, like, being liberal, their avatar is FDR. Oh, what a great guy, haha, the square deal and all of these wonderful things. He started a bunch of concentration camps in the U.S. where he put Japanese, Italian, and occasionally German-derived citizens and lawful residents based on their ethnicity for extended periods of time because they might be spies, they might be wrong thinkers. Socialists love to detain people. Meanwhile, Trump would rather not, but the thing is, the Democrats forced his hand. There's literally nothing else to do. He can't build a wall and defend the border. So he's going to have to do something. And now Guatemala is now the safe third country. So we've got some place to deport people to. If you're in the United States, you no longer have, if you're illegally here, any excuse. If you haven't already attempted to claim asylum at a port of entry, you're fucked. You can be deported 10 million, 15 million people to Guatemala because now they're accepting asylum seekers. And it makes a lot more sense to let Guatemala take care of the problem. We can help pay to repatriate people. In the meantime, we should be building a border wall, but of course, Orange Man bad, so it's difficult to do. But I wanted to also point out, the Democrats seem to hate legal immigrants in this country. Like, they have a real big problem with the idea of someone doing it the right way and, like, dotting the I's and crossing the T's, so to speak. If you look at the legal immigration process, like, the fastest way to do it is through a relative sponsoring you, like a child, spouse, a parent and stuff like that. I think sibling counts. I don't think cousins count. Maybe. I'm not 100% sure. Grandparents, great-grandchildren. I don't know where it cuts off exactly. I think the nearer the relative, especially spouse or parent, I think the easier it is, I guess. But basically, even if you go through that, that's considered the easy side of the process if it's sponsored in that way. The hard side is through a student visa. You came to the U.S. student visa, you go to school, you get a degree, stuff like that. You transfer to a job, working here as a temporary worker or something like that under a work visa. Then maybe like 20 years from now, you can apply and become a conditional resident. And that's the hard way. Or you can pay your way into the U.S. kind of. Like I think that visas are given to people who invest. It's funny. I was looking at the immigration systems of other countries, like just to compare for political purposes. And if you look at Thailand, if you have $100,000, $200,000 to invest in their economy, you can fast track and become a permanent resident there real easy. It's like here, sign this card because they want foreign investment so much. They want to grow. They see they're economic geniuses as opposed to the U.S. Democratic Party, which wants people to come in and take welfare under this sort of gray area status of DACA. We're not going to deport you, but you're illegally here. But no human is illegal, so we're not going to take any action against you. But we're going to expect the taxpayers to give you free things. Free job training, health care, schooling for your kids. They're not paying taxes, but, the American citizens have to be generous. We have to be more long-suffering and generous to anyone who happens to be able to walk physically across our border. Why? Because the Democrats are not generous and they're not willing to dispense liberty in these countries to save their own economies. And that's really the problem I have. The Democrats want to grandstand and say, well, Trump hates brown people. People who are not liberal hate brown people. They hate foreigners. They're xenophobic. Absolutely the opposite. No, I hope that their countries become wealthy. The thing is, the Democrats do the opposite of sense. They love it when socialism, leftism destroys other economies. They sit there and laugh, and then they pretend that when people come here begging for handouts that we've got a moral responsibility to take care of them. I never overthrew a regime and installed communism. I never voted for the Nicaraguans to be under socialism or for Maduro or any of these other things. They've got their own problems. In part, it's the result of a lax U.S. policy in our own hemisphere, ignoring problems here and focusing on fucking Asia and shit like that. Fuck it, who cares? We should be focused on trying to restore order here to eliminate the last vestiges of far leftism on the American hemisphere. If we did that, we wouldn't have any refugees. It'd be definitely the wealthiest part of the world. Yeah, Brazil would quickly be first world. Bolsonaro does an okay job, but what they really need is extreme laissez-faire libertarianism down there. Venezuela would be one of the richest countries in the world if it weren't for their high level of centrality under Chavez fucking their economy long term. Nicaragua could be wealthy, but they're under socialism, so they're never going to be. They're going to get free shit handouts and shitty healthcare, which is what the Democrats want here. They want to double my tax rate, give me shitty healthcare, and expect me to then pay even more so that people who aren't even eligible to be in this country can get healthcare. And meanwhile, all the time, they frown upon anyone who has come into this country because of merit. Because they worked hard, they studied hard, they got a PhD. No, we don't want them in the country. No, we would rather have a dozen unskilled workers to keep wages low. The neoliberals own just as many companies as these neocons do. Like in the past, like Bush era politics, you always get the sense the Republican was the big fat plutocrat who owned the company and mistreated his workers, and the liberal wasn't really like that. It's different now. The neoliberals are just an offshoot of those same so-called conservatives, just like neocons are just a form of corporate liberal. They shouldn't even use the term neoconservative. It's a form of liberalism. It's globalistic. It's anti-populistic. It's foreign interests first sort of platforming, especially in the economic sense, which is why they want to redistribute our tax money by the tens of billions every year to other countries. It doesn't really make any sense. Basically, it's bribing other countries to be our friend. We should say, fuck, if you don't like us, you don't like us. Who fucking cares? But you better toe the line of world trade and not try to disrupt any channels of communication that we operate on. That's what we should do. We should speak softly and carry a big stick. We should go back to those policies. Say, yeah, people can do what they want. You don't like us, fuck off, who cares? But if you try to disrupt trade lines or fuck with one of our trading partners or allies or something, then we'll just bomb you back to Kingdom Come. That's what we should be doing. Unfortunately, the people in D.C. don't have any fucking balls. Mostly it's because they're multinationalists. They have more foreign holdings than they do domestic holdings. They don't have loyalty to the United States. This is the case in most countries now. Most of the politicians running any country have holdings in other countries. You think those third world tin horns don't offshore their money to Cyprus or the Cayman Islands or whatever? Of course they do. Or Switzerland or any of the other tax havens in the world? Of course they all go to the same parties, dude. But the Democrats hate someone who took initiative to come here legally because they can't count on them as a captive voting bloc. See, if somebody's willing to go through years of effort and spend money and hire the immigration lawyer and stuff, like relationship-based, work-based, veteran, something like that, and then unless they're under DACA, like they came illegally and then they started doing that stuff, if they initially started with, hey, I want to be a U.S. citizen and I want to do it the right way, here's these papers I have to sign and visas and medical check and stuff, then they know that person works hard, and so they're probably not going to become a liberal. They're probably not interested in far leftism because they understand the value of work and effort and toil. So they hate them. The Democrats literally disdain legal immigrants. They probably would shut off the legal immigration system entirely, which, by the way, if you had, like Elizabeth Warren says, well, I want to decriminalize being illegally in the country, which is the most stupid fucking moronic thing I've ever heard in my life. Would that not necessitate the erasure of the entire legal immigration system? There's no more point to it. There would no longer be a point to having it. People would just come into the country and say fuck it. They wouldn't need a visa. Why would you need a visa to come into the United States? Why would you need to prove your identity at all? It doesn't matter as long as you... The only purpose to doing that would be to get the free healthcare, well, free as in taxpayer funded, thereafter as you reside in the country permanently without ever having to worry about anything. It'd be a country where there would no longer be U.S. citizens, in effect. You wouldn't have to prove your identity to do anything. Hell, they would probably allow people to vote illegally at that point. Why not? It doesn't matter if they're a U.S. citizen. You're not going to be able to check their ID to make sure that they are. So I guess they get a ballot. Otherwise, you're discriminating against them or something. Fucking crazy. The entire Dem field has gone completely berserk. Every single one of the people in both debates believes that the taxpayer believes that I should shell out thousands of extra dollars a year so that other people can get health care who aren't even legally entitled to be in this country in the first place. Simply because they don't have the balls to do what Obama himself, their messiah of recent times, or Clinton, before Obama, he was their messiah. said, which is we will deport people who are illegally here. They all talked a big game and they never got called racist for it. Trump actually walks the walk. He's supposedly xenophobic and bad and a tyrant. He's the fascist with concentration camps. Obama was the glorious messiah who did nothing wrong. Very interesting, since they're literally doing the same thing. The only difference is Trump actually attempted to appropriate money to improve border defense that included alleviating the problems in those detention facilities, but he somehow is the bad guy. Obama throws kids in cages. Not a fucking peep from the liberal media. No claims of fascism, no claims of concentration camps, no claims of crimes against humanity. Trump does it, and to a lesser degree as well, and tries to stop doing it and says, look, get a problem, let's tackle it. He's Orange Hitler. Very interesting. That's about all. Peace out.